Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Can't talk today. Hello all, what is going on? How you guys all doing on this Sunday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I'm here once again today, live, tonight, whatever. It's Sunday, it's been a lazy Sunday. I slept most of the day after I had an early morning softball game, so I am very thrown off. And I just did 2 more live reaction videos today as well. And we will get to, of course, a live chat in a second, because my wife made a very funny little comment in there as well, because she is not happy with something that took place on this show. We'll talk about that in a second. But guys, what's going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993. This is my live review of WWE's Money in the Bank 2024. Took place last night, July 6, 2024, at Scotia Bank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I did, in fact, butcher the order of the matches big time. Not even close. Of course, the one match that I didn't want to main event did main event the show. And I still think there was no reason for that to main event the show, in my honest opinion. Outside of that, my overall thoughts on Money in the Bank. I would say I liked it. Good to great show. Some great spots. Ladder matches, for the most part, did well. But it's, again, one of those shows I felt like I just expected a little bit more out of it. We did not get the return of Roman Reigns or The Rock. I did hear earlier today that yesterday was the day where they buried Roman Reigns' father, Sika Anyawai. So when I heard that, I knew there was a chance Roman may not show up. I don't know if that was the original plan or not, but that apparently was the case. Speaking of cases, we have a new Miss Money in the Bank, of course, and we also had Mr. Money in the Bank. We had Mr. Money in the Bank, but that cash-in has already happened. Was it worth it? I will talk about that when we get to the match that I thought should have main evented the show, the World Heavyweight Championship match. Although there was a big botch in that match, unfortunately. That did kind of affect things a little bit. So we will talk about that. The Intercontinental Championship match was good. The outcome, though, did surprise me. And then the main event, again, was good. But I still felt there was no reason for that match to main event the show. We also, though, the most talked about thing coming out of Money in the Bank, though, was not for one of the matches. It's from a certain somebody, a certain C-Nation, making his return and making a big announcement. I will actually save that for last. I didn't make a graphic for it, but I will save that for last. We'll talk about Money in the Bank first, and then we'll talk about the segment, a wee bit about the press conference that he answered questions to afterwards about it, and then we will go from there. Talk a little bit about, if there's anybody else who joins us in the live chat's been pretty quiet all day for me, for my other streams. So if anybody else decides to join us in the live chat, we will, of course, discuss the Money in the Bank. Well, what could be for John Cena's farewell tour in 2025 for WWE. But we're going to get in and talk about it. First, get a little bit of energy with a quick swig of Coca-Cola. All right. And we're going to get into it. Again, the show took place last night at Scotia Bank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Toronto is always an excellent crowd for wrestling fans. Canada's always been great crowds for wrestling in general. I thought there was something else I wanted to mention before we get started about the show. Kevin Owens, I was going to wait until his match to mention what's going on with him. I guess there is nothing else. If I think of it, I'll make sure to mention it. But we're going to roll into the review. We opened up with one of the two matches that I thought should have main evented the show. We opened up with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. As soon as they opened up with this, I thought, okay, I have a feeling the winner's cashing in tonight. Because it was opening the show. The match, of course, featured Jey Uso, Chad Gable, and Drew McIntyre from Raw. And SmackDown had Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, or as Drew called him on SmackDown this past Friday, El Idiot. And then also the sixth and final member was the biggest megastar, everybody's favorite, L.A. Knight. Yeah! So there's been some mixed results as far as which ladder match was better. Some thought the men's was great. Some thought the women's was better. Some people thought that the women's was sloppy. Some people thought that the men's was decent. Where I stand, I kind of agree with the people who like the women's match a little bit better than the men's, if I'm being honest. The men's match wasn't bad. But even like my friend, which I call him on here, Penta L. Miller, and I were talking last night when we were watching it. The thing that felt a little bit off about the men's match is it didn't quite feel like a ladder match. For most of it. There were a couple of good ladder spots, mostly towards the end. It didn't feel like, though, they made much use of the ladders, though. As much as there should be in the ladder match. Which kind of hurt a little bit. As like a regular wrestling match with like 6 men involved, it was absolutely awesome, I thought. Chad Gable, of course, was suplex people like crazy. One of my favorite ladder spots was he did suplex a ladder, I think it was, onto Andrade, which was cool to see. I think he also kind of chucked LA Knight over the top rope for him to go through the ladder as well, which I thought was insane as well too. I think someone did like a sunset flip onto Carmelo Hayes. It might have been Andrade onto Carmelo Hayes through a ladder, which also was sick there as well. A couple other good spots. Like I said, I don't think there was as many ladder spots as there should have been, which is why I like the women's a little bit more than the men's, if I am being completely honest. And also, I'm surprised there was no interferences in this match. I thought we were going to have 2 interferences. The first one I thought we were guaranteed was Logan Paul coming out to cost LA Knight the title. And that's the thing too. There weren't too many moments where they teased somebody actually like looked like they were about to for real win it. Well, Chad Gable one time I know did have the contract and they pulled the ladder out from him and he was hanging from it. Then he fell down flat on his face like an idiot and he didn't win the ladder match. He was my pick to win. Little bit bitter that he didn't win it. It looked like Jey Uso was about to win it at the end. But again, with it opening it up, I had a funny little feeling they were going to go with my number 4 pick. And they went with number 4 because Drew McIntyre got back in, chucked the ladder at Jey, and knocked him off the ladder. And Drew McIntyre is Mr. Money in the Bank for 2024. As soon as I saw, and I'll explain more about my thoughts about Drew winning Money in the Bank and then, what happened later on. But as soon as I saw him win that, I'm like, okay, he's cashing in tonight. I'm pretty sure that World Heavyweight title match with Damian Priest and Seth Rollins is not going to end on a clean note. But again, I'll give more of my thoughts on it when we do get to that World Heavyweight Championship match, which is actually 2 matches away. But again, it was good. I didn't hate it. It's just like I said, I just felt like the drama was missing a little bit. The ladder spots were not... There wasn't as many there as I would have hoped. And like I said, there wasn't many moments of like, oh my gosh, this one's about to win it. Like, some people come in like super close. Like, the women's had like 2 or 3 people who actually had like the carabiner like actually open. They just had to pull it off, but didn't quite pull it off in time, of course, for them to win the match. So the drama was there, and the spots were there as well, too. But this one, again, it wasn't quite a ladder match, I thought. Still a good opener, but wasn't quite what I wanted from a ladder match. But Drew McIntyre wins. We'll talk about him when we get to the World Heavyweight title match. The second match on the card was the Intercontinental Championship match between Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, taking on Bron Breakker. First off, they gave Bron Breakker new theme music. Again, it is a lot better than the one he had before. I still say his first one was just fine. Don't know why they had to change it. But this new one, I find a lot more acceptable than the old one. The old one, again, just another song that felt like they just pulled it off of a YouTube audio library for free. And it was just very generic sounding, I thought. Fast-paced, kind of cool. But again, it's just, I'm tired of Def Rebels having these very lazy, bland songs to them. But again, Bron Breakker got his back. Sami Zayn, of course, was over like hotcakes because we're in Canada, his home country. As far as the match goes, Braun did look dominant for a good portion of the match. He wasn't as dominating as I thought he would, but I understand the story they're going here. I mean, to fast forward, Sami Zayn did win clean, which I was very surprised he beat Bron Breakker clean. I don't know what that's going to do for Braun. That has me a little concerned. I do, though, at least appreciate they did keep like the dynamic to where it should be, having Sami Zayn feel like the underdog and Braun Strowman feel like, the guy to beat. Sami Zayn gave Braun Strowman his comeuppance. I don't think he's buried, but I was just shocked he lost clean. I mean, again, like I said, it's against Sami Zayn. They kept him with the underdog persona, as he should be, because that's where he works at his best. But I just don't know if that was the right way to go with it. I still thought it was not going to end clean. I mean, a lot of people are saying if Chad Gable would have won the briefcase, they thought he would have cashed it on Sami Zayn. But I still think Chad Gable would have went for the world title if he would have won the match. And because his idea was that he wanted to outdo what Otis could do, win Money in the Bank and actually successfully cash in. He didn't even win Money in the Bank, and now he's stuck feuding with the Wyatt Six, which I don't know if that's going to work, because again, Chad Gable, as good of a heel he is right now, and I don't know. I'm starting to worry about where they're going to go with Chad Gable. Some people think he's going to get back to the IC title picture, have another match against Sami. I don't know if that's a good idea, because again, he's already had a lot of opportunities already. And I don't see a story to him getting back to that, really, because they haven't done anything with the Creed brothers yet or anything. They've had like 1 or 2 teases, but even so, why would they debut them just to lose to the Wyatt Six? Because that's the thing that I'm concerned about him feuding with the Wyatt Six, is I don't know if he's going to actually get over more feuding with them. But, anyway, so Sami and Braun. The match was still good. Again, Braun has been working mostly squash matches. I mean, the only, really long-term match he's had on the main roster, well, he did have a match with Sheamus and Ludwig, but his best match for sure was that match he had with Ilya Dragunov on Raw. That, I still think, was his best match. This one, again, I felt like he was holding back a wee bit. And Sami saying there that Bron may have underestimated him. Could play into a story, yes. There were still some good spots. I did like, again, like, one thing that always struck me about Bron Breakker is he has very, like, quick, explosive moves. Like, he did that Hurricane where he basically, like, walked up the ropes like he was walking up a flight of stairs and, like, barely grabbed Sami for the head scissors and just chucked him over his shoulders. There was, of course, he does have, like, that pop-up gorilla press slam that's very similar to Braun Strowman's running power slam with how he does the motions, but of course he just was more of a pop-up rather than a running power slam. And a few other spots there as well, but it felt like he wasn't as, like, his adrenaline wasn't quite there. Like, I'm not saying he was lazy, but it felt like he was held back a little bit in the match. But again, I still appreciate that they built it as Sami Zayn as the underdog, which why I think it's a little more forgiving that he won clean, but I just don't know if that's going to be best for Braun. Because where did they go here with Braun after this? I don't know. And again, who is going to fight Sami at SummerSlam? If they do it at SummerSlam. Like I said, I thought this match was going to not end clean and going to set up for that fatal four-way with Sami, Breakker, Sheamus, and Ludwig. Now, though, is Ludwig hurt? I don't know. Not quite sure where it's going to go. Again, if Chad Gable somehow gets into the Intercontinental Championship picture again, make it sense at least, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And again, I get why Sami Zayn has been champ as long as he has been. Nothing against Sami. Again, I still think this should have been Chad Gable, but again, Sami's popular with the international audience especially. I get why they wanted to keep him strong right now. It's just that I just really feel like Chad Gable should be getting this spot right now. I really do. Nothing against Sami. I still feel like it's Chad's spot. But we'll see. We'll see what we have to do with that match going forward. Next was the John Cena segment. Again, I'm going to save that for last. We'll roll now into the third match, which is probably the most talked about match from this show. The match that I still think should have been the main event. Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. First off, before the match starts, there was a backstage segment where Priest confronts Judgment Day and says, "Guys, please stay back here. I need to do this on my own." Everybody's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Finn Balor, though, kind of has this fire in his eye, and he says something like, "Watch your back, boss," or whatever you say, boss, or something like that, looking like kind of angry. Now, some people are mentioning, and again, if Gunther wasn't the number one contender for SummerSlam, I would have said do Damian Priest and Finn Balor and give Finn Balor the world title at SummerSlam. Because some people are mentioning, too, a story that they could tell with this is last year, Damian Priest did inadvertently cost Finn Balor his world title. So could Finn not just first off be getting under his skin about how Damian's running Judgment Day since Rhea has been gone, and maybe, just he's thinking of that moment from last year, and that leads to him snapping and turning on Damian. So there's that ending spot. As far as the match goes, if you exclude one spot that we'll talk about here in a second, this match was great. Seth Rollins and Damian Priest had excellent chemistry in the match. Some really nice spots in there. Again, I'm always impressed with Damian Priest's what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here. Agility, especially with his spinning kicks and whatnot, with how big his legs are. Him and Seth Rollins, again, just worked very well together. And this is Seth's first match, I think, since WrestleMania. He looked great. Looked like the knee surgery was a success. Again, I don't know about the back, though. I'm pretty sure he has to get his back done soon also. I really thought he should have done it now, but maybe not. But they had excellent chemistry. Some great counters in there. But then, before we get to the finish, I don't know if this was a missed cue or what happened here. But before Drew McIntyre came out, and we all knew Drew was coming out, even Seth and Damian knew Drew was coming out the moment this match happened. And also, why this was the main, especially with what happened with the finish, this should have definitely been the main event. But, of course, I feel like they may have not put it as the main event because they didn't want to make it look as predictable as they already made it. But who knows? This should have still been the main event. But there was a part of the match where I think Seth went through a Falcon Arrow. Damian countered to try to do his own Falcon Arrow. But then Seth reversed it and he hit the Falcon Arrow. And I don't know if Drew was supposed to come out like during the count. But the referee did a 1, 2, goes for a 3 count, and he just froze. And like they acted like the announce team acted like Damian Priest got a shoulder up, and I'm like, no, he didn't. Seth Rollins won the match. It looked like Seth Rollins actually won the match, which of course doesn't really make Damian look good. But again, I feel what happened was Drew was supposed to come out during that count, and his music may not have made the moment or something. It may have been a little delay on getting his music played. That's why I feel like maybe Damian did not kick out. But of course, that was a horrible looking botch right there. Unfortunately, that's back-to-back pay-per-views with big botches. This one I feel like was the worst than the one at Clash of the Castle, where Randy's shoulder was clearly not pinned on the mat. But anyways, after the horrible botch, here comes Drew McIntyre. He comes out all smug with the Money in the Bank contract. You knew he was going to cash in. Both men were down. He walked in, handed it off, and said he's cashing in. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, he's teasing the cash in now. Where's Punk? We all knew Punk was going to show up and do something. I thought he was going to cost McIntyre the briefcase, but I feel like although, yes, I do not like that they wasted the briefcase on Drew. Didn't give it to, like, Jay or Chad, which either one, well, if Jay would have won it, I feel like it would have been a little more longer term. The Bloodline storyline would have happened first, and then maybe after the Bloodline story, that would have happened. I get it, WWE does not want to do long-term stories with both briefcases, it seems like, but Chad Gable also probably would not have been a long-term Money in the Bank winner as well. But like I said, I get why they did this. They didn't want to make it obvious that Punk was coming back. Well, it pretty much was, but they had to give Drew some sort of a rub. Especially the last time we saw Punk, Drew just beat the hell out of him. So bad that he busted the open and got taken away in the hospital. And also the fact that he took Punk's little bracelet he has that has both AJ's and Larry's name on it. And I know a lot of people were hoping that AJ Lee would have returned and interfered with Drew. And, of course, helped Punk win because of how personal this got. And, again, also, I understand, too, that people thought this was unnecessary. There's already plenty of heat on him. And it is getting a little repetitive, I won't lie. But, again, I think the big thing was they wanted to give Drew some sort of big win going into his match with Punk. I think that's the main reason why they did what they did, in my opinion. I know people don't agree with it, felt they could have been used better, but I think that's my opinion as to why they did. But again, Drew came out, he cashed in, some offense got in. It looked like he was about to win because he was dominating the few minutes he got some offense. And then Punk came in, beat him down, walled him a few times with the steel chair, and he even hit him with the world title in the face. And then, off of those distractions, Damian Priest was able to hit the South of Heaven on Drew McIntyre, not Seth. He did not pin Seth. And Damian Priest, again, retains the title. Now, of course, again, outside of all that chaos, which again, like I said, I understand it was not really that necessary because Punk has already screwed Drew how many times? He's gotten his revenge on Drew how many times? And Punk has vowed to make Drew's life a living hell, basically, as long as he could. I get that they wanted to probably give Drew another big win before his match with Punk. I get that. But I do also kind of have to, agree with the people who do say it was unnecessary and they kind of wasted the briefcase. I do kind of agree with that as well. So I do understand both sides. But it's very obvious. Well, I personally still think we need to do Drew McIntyre and CM Punk at SummerSlam. Unsanctioned. And I think it's based off of the matches that are being set up for the world title matches, this feels like the bigger match. But then, of course, Seth Rollins confronted CM Punk afterwards. And basically was like, because of you, I cannot challenge for the title as long as Priest is still champion. Because that was stipulation. If Seth didn't win the title, he couldn't challenge for the title as long as Damian's still champion. So, a lot of people are saying this is going to be a triple threat between Rollins, McIntyre, and Punk. Although on paper that's really good, I would much rather have that be just a one-on-one match with Drew and Punk. Eventually we are going to get Seth and Punk. But the thing is, though, is if Seth's not going to fight for the world title at SummerSlam, what is he going to do? I know some people are saying him and Roman should have a match at SummerSlam because Roman Reigns is not champ right now, mainly because of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins has always been kind of like that thorn in Roman's side at big moments, which is true. But my thing, though, is they've already made it so obvious that Solo wants to overpower Roman that why wouldn't Roman go after him first when he comes back? Which, again, Roman did not come back at this show. Maybe because of his father, but I don't know what they're going to do with Seth at SummerSlam, though. I like the idea of a triple threat, but my heart is still set on Punk and McIntyre. They have to have a series of matches, which they'll probably have one here, the other at Bash at Berlin, and they also announced that on I think the next pay-per-view after Bash in Berlin, it's going to be Bad Blood on October 5th, which will probably end up being a Hell in a Cell match with Punk and McIntyre. Eventually, though, probably during WrestleMania season, we will get back to Punk and Rollins one-on-one. But for now, though, again, I don't know what Seth does. Unless if Seth does make an argument of that, he was not pinned, he still shouldn't be penalized for not winning the match, and they make the match at SummerSlam a triple threat match between Damian, Seth, and Gunther. Because although Gunther and Damian is going to be a good match, I still feel like Seth Rollins and Gunther would have been the bigger match, if I'm being honest. But I still do like that, they've had these interferences in Damian's matches. He's trying to prove that he's a champ. He's a true fighting champion. But of course, he keeps, having these outside assistants in his matches. Is he, embracing that or is that bothering him? Again, that is some good storytelling to make him eventually a babyface. Because it will be soon that Finn Balor does turn on Damian Priest. And we will probably have a feud between them in the summer. In the fall. But yeah, we'll see where they go with Seth, Drew, and Punk. Again, I still would say keep it just to Drew and Punk for now. We will come back to Seth and Punk later on, I feel like, down the line. So, there's that match. The fourth match was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. From Raw, it was Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, and Zoe Stark. Zoe came out wearing some fancy-looking war paint. And from SmackDown, we had Canada's own Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, Tiffy Time, and Feel the Glow with Naomi. Like I said, I did enjoy the women's ladder match a little bit better. There were a lot more spots with the women with the ladders. They also, I like how they play up the story with Chelsea Green apparently being afraid of heights. Like at the beginning, she tried to climb up the ladder, but she only got like 1 or 2 legs up. Then she got down. She took like the smallest ladder she could. Tries to like poke up at the briefcase. Like just in general, just playing the character. I keep saying Chelsea Green is more of a character gimmick than an actual wrestling gimmick. Basically, not saying she can't wrestle, but her character is going to outdo her wrestling. And if she keeps doing that, she is easily going to be a big star. Which is why, again, she was my second pick to win this match. I almost thought she would. She did, but of course she did not as well. But there were a couple nice spots in this match with the ladder. There was a spot, I think, like a suplex or something like that, where Zoe got dropped on her head, which looked kind of bad. Lyra, though, did kind of botch a swinging tornado DDT. I think she got her one leg stuck on the rope when she tried doing that. There was that botch there. And even like the Unprettier, that Unpretty Her, I think that's how it's pronounced, that Chelsea tried hitting on Naomi on the ladder. I don't know if Chelsea was just losing her balance, but it looked a little bit off. But again, the usage of the ladders I liked a lot more in this match. A spot that did look very deadly, though, well, besides Chelsea's bump at the end, there was a spot also where Zoe and Io were at the top of the ladder, teasing one of them winning the match. And Io did some type of like a thunder driver or like some type of suplex from the top of the ladder that landed on one of the ladders like lower down that was like being elevated up from the ladder that was hanging. And Zoe landed on probably like the top part of her back. That was a very scary spot there, but it looked like it hurt like a son of a gun. But it was a great looking spot right there as well too, I thought. There was also a spot where I think Naomi did like a split with one of them laying on top of the ladder. There was time also where they were splitting the ladder and Naomi was like, just to show off her agility, was hanging on, but she was able to fight it off there. And of course, how can we forget the biggest bump? So everyone was saying how Chelsea Green, and I noticed it too, is not afraid to take like big bumps. Especially like in like the Rumble match, like the bump she was taking in the Rumble this year, and her selling was unreal. They set up these 2 tables outside the ring. I don't watch a lot of TNA or Impact, but I know the spot where I think it was for the Knockouts tag titles, where both her and Deonna Purrazzo got pushed off the top of the ladders and fell through a bunch of tables. They basically repeated that same spot here, except with just Chelsea. Chelsea was about to win. She got to the top, overcame her fear of heights. Canada's hot for her because again, she is from Canada, British Columbia. But then Tiffany Stratton tipped the ladder over, and again from the top, Chelsea crashed down through the 2 tables. Again, how she's that brave to take those spots is unreal. Again, Chelsea Green is obviously there for the character. Again, she said in Chris Van Vliet's podcast how like she wanted to kind of have like a gimmick that was kind of like her being like the last diva. And again, I think she's just excelling in this gimmick. Give her a little more time. Again, like give her a few more like wins and a couple more big moments. Again, she is someone that I can reasonably see being a great Miss Money in the Bank. But as I said before my preview, I do agree. It feels like Tiffy time, in the women's division. And Tiffany Stratton does climb, and she does win the briefcase. And Tiffany Stratton is your 2024 Women's Money in the Bank winner. And I do feel it will be a while until Tiffany does cash in. Could it possibly be maybe not till later on next year? Because right now, she's kind of in a duo with Nia Jax, who is most likely going to dethrone Bayley for the WWE Women's title at SummerSlam. Could this be a thing maybe where, because of how over she is right now, maybe Tiffany eventually turns face and cashes in on Nia eventually? We'll have to wait and see. But she, I think, is a great choice for a long-term Miss Money in the Bank. we'll see, of course, where Tiffany time goes with that. Before we had the main event, though, we did have a backstage interview with Trish Stratus, who was the host for Money in the Bank. And there was a confrontation between her and Tiffany Stratton. I think people are thinking there might be teasing a future match between them, maybe at SummerSlam. It's possible. The card's already seeming very loaded for SummerSlam, but you never know. But yeah, I'm not going to be opposed to a Tiffany Stratton and a Trish Stratus match. Cool with me. Good way to kind of get Tiffany over a little bit more with the briefcase. But that was a tease there. And then finally, the main event was Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton teamed up to take on the Bloodline, which ended up being, surprisingly, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu. Tonga Loa was in a suit just dressed in the corner. He was the fourth member. He did not compete. He got involved a little bit in the match. He did botch a low blow. We'll talk about that in a little bit. As Kevin Owens was teasing a move we've been waiting to see from him do a long time. But yeah, to my surprise, Jacob Fatu wrestled in this match. And they even did address in their entrance. Because I heard that Jacob Fatu, due to his criminal record, was not able to wrestle outside the United States. And apparently they were saying they had to fight for him to be able to do this. So I'm like, okay. He by far was the star of the match. I'm not going to lie, when people are saying that they are worried that Jacob Fatu may become bigger than Solo Sikoa, I'm already kind of feeling it. And I don't know if it's because Solo's not... And again, something I just can't stand about heels. When you know they can win a match on their own, and they still constantly need help winning matches as heels, that kind of bothers me. And again, I feel like especially since Solo's done nothing but lose since he beat John Cena at Crown Jewel last year, like that moment still lingers with me. And I feel like they haven't done enough yet to get me out of that moment where I could see Solo legitimately winning the world title from Cody at SummerSlam, because they did have Solo win with some help from the Bloodline, pinning Cody, and I guess they're doing Solo and Cody at SummerSlam, which I don't know. Like I said, I predicted that as one of my outcomes. The Bloodline did need to win this, but again, I still think Jacob Fatu was the bigger star of this match, if I'm being honest. There was a spot also, well, the person who I think got the most offensive for Cody's team was Kevin Owens. Which also, I forgot to mention, Kevin Owens' thoughts and prayers for his family, as apparently his mother is in the hospital fighting for her life. The fact that he was still wrestling this weekend was kind of a miracle. He did say on Friday that he was there because he knew that his mother would not want him to miss the shows for her. But he got a ton of offense, and it is probably the most out of anyone as well. Randy Orton wasn't in there too much. My favorite spot involving Orton, besides his RKOs towards the end, was when he did that draping DDT on Jacob Fatu. Fatu no-sold it, and then Randy turned around, and he's like, shit, basically. He knew he was doomed. Cody had his few spots there as well. He almost beat Solo with his crossroads. There was interference. Kevin Owens also had a moment where he was about to hit the package pile driver. I think it was on Tama Tonga. Tonga Loa, because there was two referee bumps in the match, got involved. And it looked like the first time he tried to do the low blow on Kevin Owens, it looked like there was two attempts. The first one, he swung and missed, which was kind of funny, to be honest. Not as bad as the botch in the Priest and Rollins match, but it was still kind of funny. But they had Owens tease the package pile driver, but then Tonga low blowed him. And eventually, though, with the rest of them taken out, the Bloodline just overpowered Cody Rhodes. And again, Solo won and the show just ended. No Rock, no Roman, no Randy Orton heel turn. Although we've still seen in some of their segments and entrances, we were walking together, that you see Orton kind of just giving that title a peek. It is coming, but it's not at SummerSlam. It's most likely Cody and Solo, which again, like I said, Had Solo would have won this match clean, I might have been a little more intrigued, but since Solo's not winning clean, it's like, again, I still have that lingering taste for the fact that he really hasn't won many matches since he beat John Cena. And again, had he would have been, I wouldn't be opposed to winning the title at all with the position he's in. But like I said, it still feels like he has unhealed wounds, I guess is the way I feel. And also, just the fact that this main event and like no one else returned, like I still don't feel like this should have been the main event. It really should have. They could have had this in the middle of the card, I thought, this match. Great match, but like I said, there was no need for this the main event. If I could pick any of the matches, it would have been the World Heavyweight title match. That's the match I think should have main evented the show. But let me check the live chat here really quick, then we'll talk about John Cena for a few minutes. Again, my wife already made the comment of Larry needs a better owner because she despises CM Punk. We do have Tyler in the live chat. CM Punk made 2 enemies now. Oh, he's already had Seth Rollins as an enemy. But they just like fueled it up. Randy's retired in that main event. He thought he looked awful. He didn't really do much of, I mean, honest. I wouldn't say he looked awful. He just didn't really do much. I just got done doing the best and worst of SummerSlam. Nice. Who wants to see Gunther versus Price and Cody versus Soul at SummerSlam? Hashtag we want AJ. AJ's not going to see it either way. I still think they should have done Seth and Gunther and Cody and The Rock. I still think they should have done. The match for the world title was great until the botch, yes. And he also wants Becky and Charlotte to come back. Trade Asuka for Tiffany for SmackDown. Asuka, though, is hurt right now. I hate the last 2 matches of Money in the Bank last night. Funny enough, I thought the show got better from the last 3 matches. So kind of opposite there. Give Michael Cole his flowers for his great commentary last night. Definitely yes. Again, Michael Cole has for sure proven himself big time ever since he got Vince out of his ear. Again, I know he gets a lot of flack still for his feud with Jerry the King Lawler when they made him a heel like 14 years ago, whatever it was. But give the man credit. He actually is very talented. He just has to have the right people in his ear. And also, hashtag thank you, John Cena. And thank you, Tyler, as well, for your thoughts as well in the live chat. Excuse me. So before we go off the air here and I give my final grade for Money in the Bank, let's briefly talk about John Cena. So it was after the Intercontinental title match where Trish Stratus came out on the stage. I thought first maybe they're just going to announce the attendance, even though it had already been announced. It's a sold out 19,000 at the Scotia Bank Arena. She says she talks up her own history in the arena, including when she was a certain somebody's mystery partner. I instantly thought back to John Cena. And John did come out. And he came out, he shook Trish's hand. And when they go to show the close-up of Cena and his towel, the towel said, "The last time is now." And I'm like, whoa. John, what are you doing here, big boy? Are you abruptly ending your career now? Like, we all knew the near was end, but you're ending it now? Not one more match? But John goes down. He gets on the microphone. And he says the crowd is clearly here to sing or to make some noise. And then just casually he's like, so why am I here? Well, I'm here to announce my retirement. And I'm like, just like that? Like, again, the time was coming, yes, but it's like, just like that, like, whoa. So John says, and that is, I felt like he purposely came out to say, I'm announcing my retirement to get a reaction as to how we would feel if he actually would retire. But of course, he is announcing his planned retirement. So, on the show, he wasn't completely clear about when his last match would be. But he clarified that. He gave the deets, as he said, in the press conference, which I did watch afterwards. But he says he hears a mixed opinion on this, there's a lot of questions. Why here? Why now? He wants to talk about Toronto and Canada. Canadians, he's been doing this for over 2 decades. And in that time, he's seen incredible waves of prosperity like right now when WWE is the hottest ticket in town. He's also seen tremendous hardship when no one knows your name and nobody wants to be your friend. The most dedicated hardcore fans stand by your side. And whether WWE is hot or cold, Canadians always show up. And they made WWE what it is today, and that's why Toronto is the perfect place to say what he has to say. Why now? Because it's money in the bank. The ultimate symbol of opportunity. And this farewell doesn't end tonight. It's filled with opportunity. Raw makes history next year moving to Netflix. He'll be there. Along with that history-making firsts, there's going to be a lot of lasts. 2025 Royal Rumble will be his last. The 2025 Elimination Chamber will be his last. And in Las Vegas at WrestleMania next year will be his last WrestleMania. Now, notice there he said his last WrestleMania. He didn't say last match. Clarify that in a second here. So that's a lot to take in. A lot of questions. But he'll be willing to answer more when he kicks off the press conference after the show. He'll field any and all questions related to his retirement. Right here, right now, he wants to say thank you. And thank you, Cena chance to come out. He thanks the crowd for their noise and their love and their honesty. And most of all, for allowing him to be there tonight to let the whole world know he's planning something unforgettable, which also involves him kicking some ass in Toronto, which I thought at first he's going to answer an open challenge. He says, so if you're watching at home, or here in the arena, or if you're a WWE superstar, if you want some, hurry up and come get some, because the last time is now. Which again, I thought that was him setting up for a match, like an impromptu match. It was not. I assume he's not going to be on TV again until maybe Royal Rumble season, based off of how that happened. Although, well, first, let me further on just explain something he talked about at the press conference. He talked about the details. He clarified again that he said the Rumble, Chamber, and Mania were going to be his last matches at those shows. So Cena will be in the Royal Rumble. He will probably be inside the Elimination Chamber. And he will, of course, wrestle at WrestleMania. But he said as of now, he is going to be in WWE all 2025. As of now, between January of 2025 and December of 2025, he's saying that there's about 30 to 40 events he's booked for. So, that's quite a lot. Is that including live events? He's probably going to go back and forth between Raw and SmackDown. He will wrestle at most of the major pay-per-views. He already mentioned Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and WrestleMania. Could he maybe wrestle at Money in the Bank? Could he maybe be at SummerSlam? And maybe Survivor Series as well next year? We don't know. They're not quite sure what all he's doing. But that's one whole year of John Cena's farewell tour. What is he going to do? Who is his last match going to be? I wish I would have sat down and actually done this, but I almost pulled a Cody Rhodes and made a list. Like when Cody first left WWE, he made a list that he crossed everything off that list except wrestling Roderick Strong. Which unfortunately still can't happen because Cody's WWE, Roddy's in AEW, but there's that. Who I want to see John Cena fight. There's definitely a nice handful of names there. I would definitely like to see, well, the biggest John Cena match I want to see that cannot happen, unfortunately, is him and Samoa Joe. Because Samoa Joe is in AEW. That can't happen. And that probably would have happened at WrestleMania 34 if Joe didn't get hurt. I would say right now, well, my wife just trashed him in the hallway, but I wouldn't mind them running back him and Punk one more time. They have had a bunch of legendary matches. Heck, that's a possible candidate for one of Cena's last matches, him and Punk. Another candidate for one of his last matches could be him and Cody Rhodes. Maybe him and Randy Orton again, I don't know. I would have loved to have seen, though, because a lot of people pitched the idea of a retirement match between Cena and Orton, where both men have 16 World Championship victories. The winner breaks Ric Flair's record and can retire, breaking that record. Which would have been cool, but I don't think Randy's going to catch up to Cena by then, unfortunately. Who's there a few names I remember I thought of? Shoot. Cena and Orton, Cena and Cody, Cena and I'm blanking out here. I'm forgetting now. Shoot. Dang it. Oh, well, a name I know I didn't mention. I still want to see a match with John Cena and Drew McIntyre. They teased that at the beginning of 2019. When Cena was around for a bit, was supposed to be in the Rumble, but then wasn't, and then he left again for a long time. That would be a great match to do, Cena and McIntyre. Who's the other heel? Cena and Braun Breaker, I definitely wouldn't mind seeing as well. I don't know. Basically, the one thing I'm hoping this doesn't turn into, I don't want it to be like how Kurt Angle's last few months were, where he was wrestling a bunch of random matches on Raw, which obviously could have been good, but Kurt was just in nowhere good shape at all to put on great matches. And the matches he had were very lackluster, if I'm being honest. I don't want that to happen here. There is, though, the talk about John Cena turning heel. I don't want to get my hopes up on it, because I am one of the people that does think it may be too late to do that, especially with the mission statement he sent out for that. But he's going to be here for a year. Raw is going to Netflix. At least Triple H announced is definitely going to be uncensored. And John Cena uncensored is definitely on a whole other level. There is a chance I think they could turn Cena heel and give him a heel run. That could be what leads to him getting his 17th world title, possibly. Maybe also, I don't want to guarantee this, but we all know that John Cena has not ever held the Intercontinental Championship. He could maybe get a brief run with that in there as well. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. But the heel turn. Will it happen? I think it's possible. But again, I may actually sit down and do that list. And maybe share that list of what I want to see Cena do in his final year for wrestling. Again, it doesn't guarantee winning championships. I don't want to guarantee him actually winning a title. But I also want to say who I want to see him fight. But as of right now, if they were to give him a final opponent, I think it either should be Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton. Who is that other person I said? I'm totally blanking out now. I can't believe it. I'm totally blanking out. Who is it now? It's bothering me. I'm literally pulling up the roster until I remember that name. Who is it? Oh, Punk. That's who it was. Punk. I think if you want based off of nostalgia and history, either do Orton or Punk as his last match. If it's more of a pass in the torch moment, I'd give it to Cody. At some point, though, you should do John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Heck, if they want to do that at WrestleMania, that could be Cody's opponent. Because again, I don't want them to do Cody and The Rock at Mania. It's pretty obvious now they're not going to do Cody Rhodes and The Rock at SummerSlam. But I don't want to see him do that Mania. The only person The Rock needs to be fighting at WrestleMania is Roman Reigns. Also, I forgot to mention this too. Not to get off the John Cena track here. If Solo does win the world title, there's only one person that I think should dethrone Solo. Not Roman Reigns. Not John Cena. Although he kind of let's count John Cena equalizing Solo at WrestleMania 39 as him getting his comeuppance on Solo. So don't have John beat Solo right now, especially. I think if Solo Sikoa would win the world title from Cody, the person I think that should beat Solo is Kevin Owens. Because, my gosh, Kevin Owens has been feuding with the Bloodline for 4 years now. Him and Sami kind of got their revenge when they beat Roman and Solo in the tag title match at Night of Champions last year. But the fact that he's still dealing with them, and when Solo first started this new Bloodline, the first person he targeted was Kevin Owens. I think if anybody should get that world title, because it's also long, long, long overdue, Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn's getting his moment in the spotlight as a single star. Give Kevin Owens that spot. Please. It's long overdue. Kevin Owens should have been a multiple-time world champion by now. It's almost like cardinal sin. He hasn't held a singles title since 2017. And based off of how many times the Bloodline had knocked down Kevin Owens, I seriously think he needs to be the one to dethrone Solo if Solo would ever win the world title. But I got everything out of there. I think I mentioned everything I want to say about Cena. Like I said, I may make that list a well thought out list of what I want to see John Cena do his last year in the business. Who I want to see him fight. LA Knight, somebody else. LA Knight and John Cena I think would be a great feud to do as well. That would be great too. Heck, if John Cena turned heel, oh man, a babyface like LA Knight would be awesome. But again, we'll talk about that list hopefully sometime soon. Because again, we have time before January when it looks like Cena will be starting that run. Get 30 to 40 events at this time, or 30 to 40 dates he has, so we'll see. Looks like there's nothing else being said in the live chat, which that's fine. So I'm going to probably cut it here. I'll give SummerSlam a B+. We had the big moment from John Cena announcing his retirement. The matches were still good. We had some moments, but not as many as I had hoped for. I'll be courteous and give it a B+. I still enjoyed it. I did like it a little bit more than Clash at the Castle. But again, I do agree that Money in the Bank could have been a little bit better, if I'm being honest. But that's going to do it, guys. That's my review of Money in the Bank. Raw and SmackDown reviews will be back this coming week, and I will start working on the SummerSlam preview and predictions. Well, the printed match card this week as well. Still got to put that together. Again, definitely what I want to see John Cena do his final year in wrestling, which I think I'll make that live. That way I can get your guys' thoughts there as well. Other content will come as well, and we will continue to go from there. So guys, thank you for joining me for this review of Money in the Bank. What are your guys' thoughts on Money in the Bank, and your guys' thoughts also on John Cena announcing his 2025 retirement tour? Who do you want to see John Cena face? Who do you want to see his last match be? Do you think John Cena will turn heel for 2025? Again, Netflix is going to Raw. It's going to be uncensored. John Cena uncensored is definitely at his best. We'll see, of course, where we go with that. So guys, once again, you guys thoughts down in the comments section below. Be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. You may follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man. I keep forgetting that. Hopefully in a few weeks, Twitter and Instagram will be back. But for now, subscribe to me here, and you may follow me on TikTok at the Club with the Man 1993. Hopefully Instagram and Twitter will be back soon. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your night, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!